Hello, Western Civ 104. Welcome to week 15. And we are just about done here. This is our last week until finals. And so hang in there. I myself am fighting a cold. And a lot of people that I know are. I've also been working a lot at my other job, which is a lot more physical, and sometimes I'm kind of exposed to being outside. I work at a consignment shop, moving furniture around and decorating items, working with like teacups and stuff. So, I'm super hardcore manly. Y'all don't forget. And that's just how I roll. No. So, look, I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And I want to just say that here we are. Look, you'll see this week we don't do as much work. I'm not going to speak for too much longer. I have a video for you to watch me that, like I mentioned in there, the sound quality is not super great, but I think I do a good recap. I hit all the points that I want to make. And then we watch this interesting documentary by Ferguson. And I really think that you will enjoy most of the classes that I have watched this, regardless of whether or not they agree or disagree. And you might even kind of wonder like what you would have to disagree with him or not. First of all, I want you to say is that you're agreeing or disagreeing is not relevant to your points. And if you write this paper, it's not like you couldn't even change your mind. You're not like committed to it, so you don't have to overthink it. Watch the documentary, think about arguments he's making, and then just kind of say, like, at this moment now, like, what you think the strengths are, weaknesses, or, like, and if you really can't decide, then as long as you explain it to me, as long as I see that you're engaged with the documentary and the message that he's trying to cover, then I'm going to be fine with it, okay? So just keep that in mind. The topic of China comes up, and it's a big deal to really think about. This is the 21st century really is about the emergence of China in a way that's kind of mind-blowing. And he puts it in context to the West and Western civilization and what we just learned about Western civilization. And so it's very appropriate. In a sense, for me, that I traveled for a year and I left Hong Kong, the whole dilemma of Hong Kong is a residual leftover effect of the emergence of the dominance of the West and then the pullback of the West, and it's a mess. And I'll just tell you, since it's the end of the semester, I blame Britain for this whole mess. They're the ones that tried to force opium onto China, a drug that rightfully they didn't want. Because as we know in America here, opioids are bad, okay, for society and for people. And then, they used Hong Kong as a place where drugs could be sold. And of course, they stole a piece from China, and then promised to give it back in 100 years. And 150 years later, after the people of Hong Kong have developed their own culture, blended with the British rule, then they're handed back to China that had a communist revolution, although switched into capitalism, but still kept the government structure of a communist state. And it's just so complex. The bottom line is that, like, after I left Hong Kong, like, they are seeing themselves more and more as just Hong Kongers and not as being Chinese, but they are Chinese right now, technically, under this arrangement. And again, this was all created by the British. And it's interesting how everywhere I went, Americans could often get very, like, our legacy is a little bit mixed or bad in certain places. But especially in Hong Kong, they love us. We don't have a controversial history with Hong Kong. And but I went to a bookstore, and when I introduced myself, quickly the woman, the ethnic Chinese woman from Hong Kong, was like, "Oh, you're American. Okay. If you were British, I was going to yell at you." But anyways, but you also have some people who are having nostalgia over the British because even though they never had democracy given to them, they never did, by the way, and they still don't have it due to the British. But they did have civil liberties and certain liberties that were given to them and freedoms that are maybe unprecedented in that part of the world. So that's something to be said as well. Anyhow, so enough of that. What I want to point out is if you have any late work, you need to communicate with me step by step now, because at this point, I'm trying to catch up on all the grading, and we're almost done. And so, if you all of a sudden are realizing you have tons of late work and now you want to give it to me, again, I've said this before, it's not automatic. You have to communicate with me, and I got to see what I can do. So I'm trying my best to help out some of you who've had some struggles. If we've already been in communication, then don't worry about this. We already have a discussion and understanding and arrangement. But for those of you who want to deal with this now, it's time for you to talk to me and let's see what's up. Okay? So I work 2 10-hour days tomorrow and the next day, and then I'll be off most of the week. So if you need to communicate with me, ask me any questions, and don't forget you can text me, and I will, try to get back to you as soon as possible, even if I'm at work, because I have that kind of freedom at my other job. And anything else? I think that's it, and we'll be in touch. And enjoy your week.